Happy Monday, my friends. It's Miss Jess here. I'm just sharing you a video of yesterday's hike. Me and Phil went exploring yesterday in search for pond life. Does anybody know what a pond is? A pond is an area of still fresh water, just like this, the image that I took. It does not have moving water like a river, and it's much smaller than a lake. Ponds are usually from rainwater or spring water that's below the ground or coming from the tops of the mountains, like where we were. And you can actually make a pond in your own backyard. It's very easy because they're usually not that big. But the cool part about a pond is a home to many different types of plants and animals. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The first thing we're going to be talking about is an amphibian. An amphibian is an animal that spends the first part of their life in the water and the second part on land. Like here, a frog. They hatch from an egg with gills and fins and can breathe underwater, and later their bodies change and they grow legs and lungs and move to the land. That was a salamander. That's a newt and a toad. The next thing we're going to be talking about are the birds that live by the pond. A bird is an animal that has feathers. They're the only animals that have feathers, really. They lay and hatch their eggs, and they have beaks, and they have no teeth. They eat all different types of foods, but mostly around the pond. They're eating insects or other birds, and even sometimes small mammals. The birds that I showed you today were a crane, a kingfisher, ducks, and these geese. Next up, a fish. This is a bass. Fish are animals that swim in the water. They breathe through gills, and they have a backbone and various fins instead of arms and legs like us. They lay eggs, and they're usually on their own from birth. That's a catfish. There are more than 32,000 different types of fish. This one here is a little minnow. Does anybody know what the word fish starts with? What letter? If you said F, you're right. Let's talk about some fish parts. They have eyes like we do, but gills was where they breathe. They have a mouth, they have fins, and a tail. Fishes love ponds. Let's move on to insects. This one's a fly. We all know what that is. An insect is an animal that has 3 body parts, a head, a thorax, and a stomach. Insects have 3 parts, 3 pairs of legs, antennas, and wings. We all know what this is. Ooh, a mosquito. They bite. Next up is a beetle. There's all different types of beetles, and there's plenty of them down by the pond. Also, a really awesome insect that is by the pond is a dragonfly. They're super beautiful, and they love to fly right by your head. Another thing down by the pond are mammals. Mammals are a group of animals that have live babies, and they do not lay eggs like this raccoon here. Another one, like this beaver, they feed their young milk and have hair or fur all over their bodies. Look how cute that little muskrat is. They can be found all over the world. And you want to know something cool? Humans are mammals. That's an opossum. And here's an attached picture of my aunt's little pet possum. They're so cute sometimes. So let's review pond life. The water has to be still and not moving like a river. And it's much smaller than a lake. And it has different types of things that live there. There was insects. We talked about the beetle, the dragonfly, the fly, and the mosquitoes. We talked about their 3 main parts of their bodies and how they have 6 legs. They might be annoying to us as humans and get us itchy and give us bites, but they're much needed for the pond. There was also mammals. I showed you pictures of the raccoon and the muskrats, the beaver and the opossum. They have hair and fur, that's how we know they're mammals. And they feed their babies with milk. Some of them are friendly, some of them are not. We also had some birds down by the pond, right? We talked about the crane and the kingfisher, the ducks and the geese. But you can see many different birds. And since we're all bird watchers now, you guys can always keep a lookout and see how many you can spot. Remember, birds have feathers and they lay and hatch eggs. Don't forget about the amphibians. This is my favorite part because we're going to talk about frogs and tadpoles and eggs next. Can't wait to show you. The pictures might be in black and white, but the salamander is super beautiful when you see it in person. Amphibians, they spend their first part of their life in the water, if you remember, right? They hatch and they lay eggs in the water. But then they spend the second part on land. There's a newt, and there's the frog, and the toad. And of course, in ponds, we got some fish. There's sticklebacks and catfish and bass and minnows. And we talked about the different parts of the fish, right? They have gills and fins. And fish, they spend their whole life in water. They can't live outside the water like we do, right? Another thing that I didn't add to our video, but I'm going to show you pictures of, are plants. Just like we had talked about plants and growing plants, there's live plants down by the pond. There's water lilies, and there's duckweed, and there's lily pads. You know frogs love those, and cattails. So many things down by the pond. And that's our pond life lesson. I'll be back with more. Stay tuned.